of loneliness in a shell of a body, with no voice and no future.
Life keeps forcing cruel choices.
Stop quoting Papa!
I actually want to talk about the Clair Obscur ending, and I think it has some meta meaning there. Now, usually I would talk here about some deep meanings and details and everything else, and usually I would talk here about TV shows, but I don't want to limit myself only on TV shows, even though I know that most of my audience doesn't play video games. And it's okay, you don't have to, but you need to understand one simple thing. Books, video games, movies, TV shows, this is just a source to transfer information. They all have their advantages, they all have their limitations. If it's a book, you're limited only by your fantasy. You can imagine everything, and the author can write about everything, but you're also not going to be able to hear an amazing soundtrack or see something visually that you cannot even imagine. This is something that will be created by movies and TV shows, but they are limited by budget and the talent of, a lot of teams, a lot of people. When the book is limited only by a talent of one person, if he's talented enough, it's going to be a successful book. But when it's a big team working, just a couple of people, a bad actor and a bad director can ruin everything else for everybody else. But video games have their own limitations, but they also have a very big advantage on any other source of information. And this is the quality of your involvement in the story. I mean, who among us didn't see somebody, holding a joystick and moving with the gameplay, trying to avoid the hits or trying to drive a car with something that happens on the screen? Because when you are playing a video game, you're not really rooting for the hero. You are the hero. When he's getting hit, when he's getting killed, or he or she, whatever it is, whatever the game you're playing, you are being hit, you are getting killed. You feel this desperation when something is not working, and you feel the dopamine release when you're finally succeeding. So when a game knows its principle and knows its strong characters and can implement a very interesting and intelligent story with this gameplay routine, you get yourself a hit like Clair Obscur. I recently finished the game, and in the game, in the ending, obviously spoiler alert, if you haven't played the game, if you don't know how it ends, don't watch this video. Unless you are completely immune to spoilers and you don't really care and you just want to know how it ends. But in the end, you are given a choice whether to give up to escapism, which is something very similar to anybody who watches fantasy shows or plays video games, or you're choosing a reality of some sort. You either taking a side of maelle there, and you making this world as real as it is, still a make-believe, still something that was created by one person, by a couple of persons, but still it's something that was created from imagination. And you save this world, but simultaneously you condemn a very important to you person to a life of hurt and sadness, which is Verso, obviously, who is begging Maelle not to do this and to go to the real world and to be with her family, which needs her. Okay, this family is torn apart because they lost a beloved son, the firstborn. Verso, he sacrificed himself in order to save Maelle, his younger sister. So this is a family torn apart, and losing another child is definitely not gonna help. Or once again, you can choose the side of Verso and basically destroy the world, destroy this imagination, but make Maelle leave this painting and be with her family. Accept the loss of their of her brother, of Renor and Alina's son, and try to move on with everything, with the hurt of everything, try to move on. So there is no right choice there, but it serves, in my opinion, a very interesting metaphor for what we experience every time we start an interesting and engaging video game or movie or TV show or book. When it's so good, when the characters feel so alive. I mean, who among us didn't shed a tear when Gustav was losing Sophie? I mean, this was the moment when I knew I'm gonna finish this game in record speed, because I just need to know what happens, and I just need to have some kind of a hope that I can restore this relationship, because it is real. It is 100% real. It's not just, there are NPCs that are moving like in the video game and they have just a couple of lines. They fall in love, they birth children, they grow up, they fear, they are scared, they're everything. They're completely alive, even though technically they are not a living creatures. They are not. They live in somebody else's imagination, whether it's Verso, who is keep painting this image, or it's Maelle, who is forcing them in the end, if you're choosing Maelle, to keep painting this image. So this is a very over-the-top situation. When you have such a tragedy, hopefully this is not something that you can relate to, but I think a lot of us can relate to, finally putting the game behind us and moving on with our life, or completely disappearing in it. And a lot of times it happens through, not experiencing some success in life. And I think I'm not gonna be a very original one if I'm gonna say there were many times in my life when the real life was not really working for me. Unemployed, not having a girlfriend, not having any love life, nothing, like maybe seeing some friends from time to time, but not experiencing this sense of success or fulfillment in real life.
Life. My life of loneliness in a shell of a body, with no voice and no future.
And this is a very easy path to completely lose yourself in, whether it's a video game or, discovering a lore of some sort of a book or a movie, basically deep diving, going full geek, like in Geekotomy, about something. Now in this situation, I think self-control and basically withholding some kind of a balance between real life and, escapism is the most healthy approach, but the video game doesn't allow us to do this. There is no balance there. You cannot just stay with maelle in this painting and then go out for a couple of days and be with your family. Okay, this is not an option, because if you're gonna go out, Renoir is gonna destroy the painting right away, so Maelle will not gonna be able to escape there once again. He wants her to be there. He wants to repair his family, even though the mother is blaming her child, her daughter, for the loss of their firstborn son. Which means there's gonna be a lot of work for Renoir and his family to heal and move on somehow and face everything. And for Maelle, it's been basically, being very disfigured after the burn, losing an eye, having a lot of burns on her face, hiding in plain sight, not feeling like she's basically a breathing and living person, being a ghost of herself, which is a very, as I told you, over-the-top situation, which a lot of us can feel sometimes, minus the burns, minus the tragedy, but sometimes we can feel like we are a ghost of ourselves, we are not seen, we are not experiencing something in life that basically fulfill us, and we are escaping somewhere. Okay, but while we play games like Clair Obscur, or we're watching TV shows or movies that basically make us feel something, it's because while we do this, everything that happens is real. And I'm not saying we are crazy people that think that everything is real, and if we're watching Clair Obscur, we think that somebody who is a character there is actually a real person. Of course not, but then again, knowing this, you can still watch a movie and cry. You can still play a video game and cry. I cried in the end of Clair Obscur, and I'm not ashamed to say this because this was very emotional for me. Why? Why is this happening? Why we can experience those emotions even when we are seeing a play and we're seeing the stage and we know that this is actors and this is costumes? We can still feel those emotions because in this moment, in this second, everything is real to us. And characters like Gustave and Sophie and Ciel and Lune are real to us even though they are not.
What about Lune and Ciel and Monoko? What about Esquier?
So as I told you, there is no real answer here, there is no right answer here. This is just somewhere to put you on the spot and look at yourself at this moment and think like, where am I right now? Am I facing reality with all of its disadvantages? Comparing to fantasy, where I can be super successful, strong, amazing person and I have a beautiful world which is 10 times more beautiful than our world, especially if we're living in an urban area or something like this.
Here I have a chance to live, verso to live. Up there I merely exist.
But do I keep this balance? Do I choose reality or do I escape to those places? Do I give myself an option to escape? Because escapism can also be healthy. So this is a meta commentary in my opinion, and for some people it's gonna be a stretch, maybe it is. But I think what makes art beautiful is that sometimes we can find their subcontents and ideas that maybe the creators didn't even put there. Maybe they didn't even imply them. But while I was playing the choice, and I chose verso in this situation, because I will always choose real life. With all of its disadvantages, with all of its problems, nothing beats real.
See things as they are, not how you want them to be.
And I think this is what makes this game even more genius. The story itself is absolutely breathtaking, but in the end, You have to look at yourself and analyze yourself, not the character, yourself. How do you look at life? Between escapism, between facing grief, between facing struggles, and how do you deal with everything? And I think this makes this game even more beautiful. Now, what do you think about it? Do you think I'm completely full of you know what? Or maybe I'm onto something? I would love to know your comments, even though knowing my audience, it's like 5 people watching until this moment, so I'm expecting 5 comments. Thank you so much, and I want to thank everybody who supports me on Patreon, on YouTube, and your financial support is basically what makes this channel possible. You fill me with motivation and you give me a sense of responsibility. I will never do anything to disappoint you. And as usual, I'm gonna see you in the next one. Meanwhile, bye!